Alrighty, here we go. My name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. I'm still trying to push these out once a month or so. Doing the best I can. It is a beautiful day here in northern Michigan. I live someplace that's amazingly rural with just great people all around me. We got our first snow over the last couple days. We're looking at, I think it's December 2nd. We're a few days after Thanksgiving. The Lions won. Michigan beat Ohio State. We had a tremendous election outcome. I can't be more excited. What a great time to be alive. What a great time to be an American. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be helping you to try to become the best man you can possibly be. As Jack Donovan says, there's a big difference between being a good man and being good at being a man. Being a good man is largely a result of your upbringing. The people who were around you, your parents, your heroes, your mentors, it's innate. It's your sense of morality of hey, this is right, this is wrong. But being good at being a man requires constant diligence. Every opportunity you have to improve yourself as a man, it is your responsibility to do it. It's the responsibility you have to the people around you, to your circle, to the world, to your country, all of it. You got to be the best man you can be every single day. And when you see an opportunity to become better, it is on you to absolutely take advantage of that. I've written a couple of books. Actually, I've written 3. Most notably, we've got these 2 here. Very proud of these. The first one is called Ideal Man, Reviving Masculinity. I wrote that well, at least it was published in 2022. It has to do with making sure you are practicing the habits that you should have in your life that will make you that best man that you can be. And then in 2024, just this past spring, I released Mastering Masculinity, which is an outline of the things that you should have in your life, that you will have in your life as a result of practicing the habits in Ideal Man, Reviving Masculinity. Both great books, very proud of both of them. You can get them anywhere. Amazon's probably the quickest and easiest. They're going to ship to you all over the world. I had a guy reach out to me from New Zealand via my website. Hey, man, I want a copy of your book. And he's like, but it's $40 for shipping. I'm like, yeah, dude, to get to New Zealand for me, it's like $37 and change. I said, I really recommend Amazon. They probably have some on the continent there that's closer to you. And he's like, yeah, that was way cheaper, man. Thank you. So as much as I would have loved to have given him an autographed copy and some stickers and the type of stuff I usually send out from my website, didn't work out in that case. But yeah, use Amazon. It's quick, easy. You'll get it as quickly as you can. But if you'd really like to, again, signed and decals and all that, just go to travisneville.com. You can just Google my name and you'll find that. Anyway, I talked earlier about how it is your duty to be the best man you can be. And when you see an opportunity to become better, it is your responsibility to take advantage of that opportunity. And I've had one of those come up in my life. So it's killing. All right. And as far as I'm going to title this episode On Killing, and that's a tip of the hat to a book I recently read. I forgot the guy's name, but he's a military veteran. He talks specifically about war and killing. And I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to tell you today for half an hour about what it's like to kill people because I don't know. I hope I never know. But I have indeed very, prescriptively now killed a good-sized animal. And I'm going to tell you all about that. So hunting for me, was I don't know. It always made me feel uncomfortable. Okay, I'm kind of a soft-hearted guy. I have pets, and I very much like them, love them. And I lost a pet over the summer, and I talked about that. I documented that as much as I could for your benefit. And so that thing to me is the reason why I kind of never pursued it. Also, my dad wasn't a hunter. His dad wasn't a hunter. It just wasn't anything I was terribly interested in. Uh, but when I analyzed it as an adult, um, I got a couple of friends who are interested. I'm, the same guy who took me on that kayaking trip that I talked about. That was another example of me making myself uncomfortable. He's a big hunter, and he never pushed me into it, but I just watched how he did it, and it made sense to me. And he's a guy I respect. So if it's a thing that works for him, maybe it could work for me. I was thinking. So you know what? I'm uncomfortable with this. I'm going to do my best to try it. So why this pursuit for me? Why undergo this one? Like I said, initially I thought, hey, this is going to make me uncomfortable. I'm going to be doing a thing I don't know how to do, a thing that makes me feel queasy and emotionally not good, you know? And but that's a thing, that's a place when you feel like that about a thing, that's not something to run away from. All right? It's they don't say when the going gets tough, take a left turn. That's not the phrase. It's when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So when there's a bump in the road, you bite down on your mouthpiece and start grinding, you know? That's how I see it. So all right, this thing makes me uncomfortable. So I've revealed now a thing that I can work on that's going to make me better. It's at least going to eliminate a weakness. So that's initially what it was. And then the more I started looking into it, I mean, I eat a lot of meat. I mean, a lot. I would tell you that my diet's more than half meat. I mean, probably 70%. I eat vegetables and fruit and stuff like that too, protein shakes. But I mean, the protein, that's powder is made out of some sort of, I think it's whey protein, but that still's coming from an animal. And I thought, I had a conversation with my mom not too long ago, and she says, I don't like eating meat. She doesn't like the texture. She doesn't like the idea of it. And that makes sense. I mean, you're a senior citizen lady and you don't lift weights or anything. Like there's your body's going to tell you what it wants. And I'm still a younger man. I'm not at least not an old man and I work out a lot and so meat makes sense to me and it seems delicious. I can remember when I first started lifting weights when I was a young guy. Like that's all I wanted to eat. I'm like, I can't believe how much meat I want to eat now that I'm lifting weights. Like it just is what you want. And that's your body telling it, what it needs. Another reason I chose this pursuit to try hunting, capability and disaster. I talk a lot about that in the newest book, Mastering Masculinity, that, it is your responsibility as a man to be prepared for any kind of terrible outcomes, be it social collapse, the end of civilization, when the shit hits the fan, as they say it, civil unrest, all the different things that, we've already started to see glimpses of 4 years ago in the last election. Um, or before that time, I guess, when Trump was still president, the leftists just went bananas. Black Lives Matter rallies and Antifa riots and burning down police stations and like just terrible shit. I've told you that's a big part of why I moved up here, moved out of the population centers. I just don't trust those people. I don't because they're very susceptible to propaganda. And one political party controls all of the media essentially right now and has got these people brainwashed. And I don't want to be around it, because I don't think like that. Anyway, capability and disaster. If I had to feed myself, could I? I specifically say that in the newest book. I'm like, you don't want to be learning how to hunt and fish at a time when that's the only way you can eat. Um, Although I agree, you know, um, needing to do a thing is probably the best motivator to do it. But I'd rather be good at it already. And in the meantime, what that gives you, and the shit probably never will hit the fan, and I think society probably never will collapse. But in the meantime, you're going to feel better about that. You're going to sleep better at night knowing that if it did, you'd be all right. You know what I mean? And that's a great feeling. Okay, that's a great thing to know. I talk specifically about that and how I designed my house towards that end. And you can read more about that in Mastering Masculinity. So that's why I chose to get after it. Um, that's why I chose it. It makes sense to me. And so here I go. So let me tell you what it is to be a hunter. Um, I have this cabin. It's also in northern Michigan. It is now it isn't very far from where I live. It used to be 4 hours away from where I live, but I moved up here now. So this cabin is, it's not very big. It's the one I lived in for the year while I was building this house. But it's out in the woods. And my little cousin, Anthony, he's not so little anymore. Geez, he's probably almost 30. He hunts there every year. And I thought, well, geez, if he can do it, then why can't I? There's plenty of property, plenty of space. So I had the facility, right? So I've got a place to do it. And second, also in the pursuit of being capable in a disaster, I have a lot of firearms. I have a lot of ammunition. I have everything I need for that end of it. Also in again pursuit of being capable, I have a lot of outdoor gear, a lot of camouflage. I just think camo looks cool, so I have a lot of that. I had everything I needed. I have everything I need to get into that pursuit. So it wasn't a big leap. It didn't cost me a lot of money to get into it. Like there's no I didn't have to know somebody with property. I didn't have to, none of that. Like I already have everything. So that made it easier. So that's where we started. My buddy Mike, good friend, he comes up. We'll stay at my cabin, and we don't actually hunt there. We want to leave those woods open for Anthony, but my buddy Chris has some property that's close. So really, you're just going out there and sitting. You're getting up really early, and you're going to sit in a blind or in a tree stand or even just in a lawn chair and watch the sun come up for an hour. And then, you sit out there till like 9 in the morning, maybe 10, because sunrise time and sunset time, that's when they're most active. The deer are. Actually, they're the most active at night, but you can't hunt when it's dark. You can't see, and it's illegal. It's illegal to rip off a firearm during hunting season specifically between the hours of sunset and sunrise. So you're out there just being quiet, and so that when they do start moving around, you're already in place, you're already settled, you're already there, you're waiting on them. So you just sit, and man, this is the third year I've tried it, and I haven't even seen a deer. I haven't seen a deer, not one. Didn't I saw one little guy the first year, one. That was it. Like that was it. I'm like, I kind of, I like being out in the woods, and I'm trying to find the upsides of it. But I was realizing that I was going out there, usually hungover, because Mike and I had to have a few beers, go out with some friends or whatever the night before. So I'm hungover. I'm playing on my phone. I'm not really paying attention to it. I'm out there early, and I'm sitting there, and I'm wearing the gear, and I got my gun and all that stuff, but I'm not really hunting. And I didn't understand that relationship. Um, so this year, finally, Mike came up for opening weekend, and when he went back and Anthony went home, I decided to go back over there and hunt from Anthony's spot where he pulls two giant does and an 8-point. He's like, dude, just sit in my spot. You'll probably see something. But now it's a totally different thing now, and this is where it changed for me. Okay, it goes from that party with the guys, which I'm not opposed to. That's awesome. Love doing that. But it turned into a solo, like very sober, very spiritual almost pursuit. Okay. And that's me waking myself up by myself in a dark cabin, climbing downstairs, very quietly putting my gear on, very quietly walking out there and sitting in my blind. I'm not hungover. There's nobody around me. My phone's not even on me. I am just looking at the woods, and I'm finding myself riveted by it. I'm starting to understand what the drive is, right? And let's rewind. I'm talking to my buddy Travis, who's an excellent outdoorsman. I think I told you he's the guy who arranged that kayaking trip that I took in the spring that also was an exercise of being uncomfortable. I'm like, well, man, won't I hear him coming? I mean, there's dry leaves everywhere. He's like, you won't hear shit, dude. He's like, deer are 100% prey. Okay. Their entire life is trying to stay alive and trying to stay clear of predators. I mean, there's coyotes, there's bobcats. I don't know if bobcats eat deer, but there are wolves up here. There are mountain lions. Not many, but there are a few here. There are animals that eat deer. And deer don't eat any other animals. They just eat grass. So they are incredibly quiet and incredibly aware of their surroundings. So if you're making any kind of noise, they'll know you're there. If you are not downwind of them, they will smell you and avoid you. Like they're incredibly sensitive and twitchy, and in every way, you will not see a thing if you aren't pretty dialed in. So he tells me that. So here I go out by myself, and I'm dialed in. I'm set up where I'm downwind, where I can smell them, but I can't smell them at all. But if I could, right, that'd be the direction they're coming from, and I'm just focused. I'm just, hey, this is a thing I have to do. This is an undertaking that I've committed to, and I'm going to see it through. And I think it was the second time I went out. I'm just kind of looking around, and bam, I turn my eyes, and standing at my bait pile is a buck, a 5-point buck, barely legal where I shot him. You got to have 3 antlers or 3 points on one side. And I just very quietly pulled up my rifle and shot him. And it wasn't, I wasn't excited. People want to text you congratulations and shake your hand and tell you congratulations, and that just still doesn't feel right to me. I understand the gesture behind it. I understand, hey, it was a lot of work and you sat through it and you got it done. I understand the congratulations part, but what I was telling myself at that point was, you did it. You committed to this and you followed through and you did it. So I shoot him, um, and I watch through the blind, and I watch where he runs to. And my buddy, several people had told me, you can't just get up and start chasing them because their adrenaline will take them forever. You'll never find them. It's like as long as you had a good shot, heart and lungs, they'll go about 100 yards max and they'll drop and you'll find them. So wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, and then start tracking them. Well, in my case, the weather didn't exactly help. Now, it would have been awesome if it had snowed before I shot him, but it started snowing right when I shot him. So the snow was progressively covering up all the blood that I had to follow. So in order for me to follow the blood trail, I had to stomp on top of the snow to get the blood to come through, and I could see what angle he was running at. And that's how I had to track him. So it took me like 45 minutes. And, and this was the part that to me was the hardest part. It was to see him, laying next to a tree stump and have to walk up and know that that was a live animal before I made the conscious choice to kill him. And, it felt exactly like, if you remember the movie Stand By Me, it's an 80s movie, Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, um, people you've heard of. And they're looking for this dead body. They're looking for Ray Brower. It felt exactly like when they found the body. It wasn't exciting. It was very sober. It was I just had a lot of respect for this animal that is going to feed me for a long time. So I came up on him, and I have a little ritual that I had prepared in advance that I was going to do, and that's exactly what I did. You're never going to know what it is. And then I went about field dressing him, which is, you got to take an animal that's 100% warm inside, like it might as well still be alive. Cut him open and spill his guts out. That's what you have to do, and then drag him back to the house, to the cabin, rinse him out with water, hang him for a few days because the weather was good, and then commence to the processing part of it. Um, I'm going to pause this for a second and get right back in. Okay, we had a little trouble with the audio there, so I had to restart it. So, I drag it back to the cabin, hang it for a few days, and then yesterday I meet my buddy Travis, no relation, and he taught me how to process it. So that's everything from we're hanging it, and you got to skin it. That's the first thing you do, and then you quarter it, which literally means you cut the arms and legs off of it at the joints, and you cut out the back strap, which is the best meat that there is on the animal. And I was shocked by this. Like I've got a couple deer in the freezer. One I didn't shoot. One my cousin Anthony shot for me, and my buddy Mike gutted for me. So it really wasn't mine, but I have the meat. And then there's another one that recently one of the coaches I work with hit with his car, with his truck, and so I was able to get the meat from that one as well. So I understand the processing part of it. I take it to the Amish, and they do it for me. That's the processing part. And man, you get a box bag with maybe 30 pounds of meat in it. And I left yesterday with probably double that. And I'm not going to say my deer was twice the size. It was pretty close to the same size. But I don't know what they do. They have more waste, I guess, when you hire a processor. When you do it yourself, you get way more meat. I was really surprised by that. Um, anyway, yeah, so a ton more meat, and you get the cuts you want, the thickness you want, all that stuff. And I was wondering how that worked too, and now I get it. Um, that's how that works. Didn't want to neglect to mention my firearm of choice. Now, every year that I've gone hunting before this, I used a nice bolt action 308 Ruger with a big scope on it. I mean, shit, I could shoot a deer from 200 yards. Like I could be upwind, or I could be upwind from them, and still wouldn't they wouldn't even know I was there. And that didn't seem sort of intimate enough. That's probably the wrong word, but I wanted to be as involved in the process as I could be. So this year I chose an old school 30-30 lever action, open iron sights, the kind of boomstick that a guy would hunt with 100 years ago. I wanted to be right on top of it. I wanted to understand the whole process and see it all and see if I would look away. And I didn't, to see if I would look away emotionally, right? So I'm at like maybe 25 yards. I mean, this is bow and arrow range. I was close. And makes it easier to not miss and not injure the deer and you're going to get a kill shot and so anyway, like I said, I tried to immerse myself in the experience just out of, is it gonna, see if I could, see if it would make me, if I could handle it. So we get to my buddy's place and we do all the processing, and it wasn't bad. I came out with a whole lot more meat than I thought. I think I told you that. But really, all of that stuff, describing the experience, I hope what you're hearing is that I'm choosing to do a difficult task. I'm choosing to do something that was hard for me emotionally. No, physically difficult tasks, I fucking do them all the time. All right. I work out almost every day. And when I don't work out, I'm actually physically working. And I'm always like, well, let's see if I can do it. Like to me, the physical challenge of stuff, I still love it for sure, but it's lost its challenge in some ways. You know what I mean? Like, because I do it all the time. So the real difficult things for me are mental challenges or emotional challenges. Like that's why that kayaking trip was good for me because it was doing a difficult thing I'd never done. I wasn't worried about the physical part of it. I know I got that. I can go 3 days without water, without food. I'll be fine. I can handle the cold. I'll be fine. But can I handle getting dunked underwater at 28 degrees and, not and figuring out how to survive? Like getting the fuck out of the water, building a fire, that's a mental challenge. Your body can do it. Your body can do 100 times more than you think it can. Like you'll go a lot farther than you think you can, uh, as long as you think you can, you know? So that's what it is. It's toughening yourself up mentally. And that's what this was. This was a mental thing, an emotional thing. Um, so that by itself, tremendously valuable, and that will help you if you can seek those things out and that challenge you mentally or challenge you emotionally. And it can be something as simple as, I'm going to deal with this thing between my wife and I that I know that is hard. It makes me uncomfortable, or it makes her uncomfortable, or it makes us both uncomfortable. But we're going to attack it head on. We're going to go after it. I realize that discomfort tells me that's a place I need to go. That's a place I need to work. Um, hopefully that's what you're pulling from this. Something at work, whatever. Just those uncomfortable things are huge. So that's a big thing I got out of it. Of course, that's always valuable. But really, like the bottom line here, why I'm a better man today after engaging in that entire pursuit is because I have a far more deep understanding of how incredibly thin the veil of life is. I understand that you're just fucking meat, dude. Like you are. That's all you are. You're a sack of meat walking around. And you get so caught up in your day to day. I do too, of course. Your worries, your concerns, money, relationships, your health, uh, whatever concerns you from day to day, traffic, politics, all of it. It's fucking bullshit. All right. At the end of the day, you are your dirt. Okay. Your dirt. Like I have this picture. I'm not going to put it on the podcast here, but it's me standing next to the carcass of the deer that I had just finished processing. And I'm smiling because I'm laughing because the guy who took the picture, my buddy Travis, he made a joke right at that point, so I was laughing. It was not a funny, fun experience for me. Like I said, it's very sober, very focused on it. But what you see is the head of this animal fully fur. It could be alive as far as in the picture. And then from its neck down, it's got no fur, no meat, no legs, no arms. Like it's a shell. There's no guts. It's a meat rib cage with a spine. And that's what you are. Yeah. That's what I am. Okay. When you start to realize that, how quickly and easily your life can be gone, and the fact that it indeed, no matter what you do, will be gone one day. When you understand that, you have a totally different appreciation for the fact that you are not dead yet. Okay. I mean, it fucking changes everything. When I think about that experience now, I think about how unbelievably lucky I am to be alive. How awesome it is to be able to live the life that I live, and how amazing every morning is. And I know that shit sounds cliche and you fucking hear it all the time, but I'm telling you, when you do a thing like that, now you get it. Now they aren't just words. Now it's not just some shit written at the end of a book. Now it's not just a post that you got on Instagram. It's real. Like you can fucking touch that because I know what's inside my guts right here, right? I cut myself open, my guts are going to spill out. You can take my arms and legs off and quarter me and skin me. Like you too. I mean, that's all you are. And one day you're going to be in the fucking dirt. I mean, and we took the carcass and we leave it out back out behind his place. He's got a lot more property than I do. And he likes to feed the coyotes. So they'll eat the crap out of that rib cage and all that. And you're helping to, circle of life, keeping things moving. Same thing with the gut pile. But that's all you are, dude. You're a bony ass rib cage and a gut pile. Like that's it. So those things that bother you and worry you from day to day, they become, at least right now for me, they become way less impactful. I talk about this all the time about workouts, and I hear, um, what's his name, the really good hunter, uh, bow hunter guy, keep hammering. Anyway, Cameron Haynes, he talks about how, you run a marathon every morning. There's no phone call that's going to be tough after that, you know? And I think that same ideology applies here, the same idea that you, when you understand what life is and what it is and how thin it is, how fragile it is, you just fucking love it because you see how easy it can go away. One bullet, we're all dead, right? And it's a big confidence booster. It really is. I mean, it makes me feel like again, I feel like I'm on top of the world. Once you see death, I mean, it's almost like having a near-death experience. You start to understand how powerful that is. And I know I keep hammering that same point, but I can't make it clear enough to you what a big deal that is. Um, yeah, even all your friends and family, they're gonna be dirt too. That's what's in your future. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do in the meantime, Um, and here's another thing that I figured out, and I hope that you understand this for what it is, and you're not gonna read too far into it, but you know, had this conversation with Travis while we're doing the processing that I don't it, I don't have to wonder now whether I could, because I've always thought, well, I definitely could if I had to kill. Um, the only piece that I didn't know is whether I would when it came down to it, because you don't know if you would do something until it's done. So now I know. There's no doubt in my mind. I know exactly that I would, and it's a big confidence booster. It's certainly a stress reliever. Okay, like I said, being prepared for whatever shit hits the fan, societal collapse, any of that stuff. And again, it isn't that end that's the big thing. Okay, because that shit probably won't happen. What it means is that in the meantime, you have peace of mind. It just helps you to relax, to know that I'm fine no matter what. I'm gonna be fine. I can deal with anything that comes along. I'll survive, and I can help other people survive. So I've got more of that in me, which can't be bad. But we had this conversation about whether you would or could, and of course it immediately transferred over to a person. You know, would you could you shoot a person? Could you kill a person? And I'd have no doubt I could. I mean, I know it's probably not a thing you should say on the internet, but if I knew that I didn't have a choice, I'd fucking do it in a second. In a second, if you broke into my house or you're threatening somebody I love uh, with lethal violence or certainly physical harm, I would have no problem drawing and shooting and dropping somebody. Because here's the difference, man. That animal did nothing to me, and I was able to methodically kill it and eat it. And I'm not saying I'd eat a person, but uh, I would have no problem with that. I'm looking at the things that have the day that I shot the animal, that was the hardest day for me because I was trying to deal with it. Uh, but since then, it's been fine, and I think it'll get easier as I move forward. And I think with a person, they're fucking flawed. Like if I'm even considering drawing on somebody or choking them out or whatever it is, they've done something pretty fucking bad. So I know if I had that motivation, I could do it in a second. The animal wasn't attacking me. He wasn't coming right for us, but I wanted to eat him. So that's my motivation there. And that's a piece of knowledge to have, okay? That, yeah, I could kill a person if I had to. Now, why is that good? Why is that a good thing to know? Because I say this all the time. Chapter 2 in Reviving Masculinity deals with violence. And I specifically say in there, and I say it all the time, the more capable you are of violence, the less likely you are to ever engage in it. The more able you are to do damage, the more shit you'll do to avoid it. And that's part of being a good man. To have that relationship in your head that I'm not doing this shit unless there is no fucking choice. Jocko Willink will talk about it. Unless you physically have your hands on me or something like that, I'm just gonna walk away. I'm gonna say sorry, man, and I'm gonna get out of there. And he's a dangerous guy, a trained killer. And that's exactly how you start to think and feel. All of a sudden, road rage doesn't fucking get to you. Oh, I could fucking kill that guy if I wanted to. So when you know that, you're like, I don't ever want to come close to that. I'm going to do everything I can to avoid it. I've talked about, I don't know if you've seen the Roadhouse remake, but the original Roadhouse, Dalton, is an ideal man. And I'll do an essay on him soon. One of the things that makes him so great is he does everything he can to avoid violence. He does not do it unless he has no choice, unless he's physically threatened, unless somebody else is. And even then, he's killed a guy. And so he will never do that unless he's going to die or someone else is going to die. He knows what that is, and he knows what it is to carry that around with him, that I killed a man. So he's going to, he knows more about it than I'd, he's farther away from it than I'll ever be, hopefully. So that's where the upside is. You now understand violence. You now understand killing. You know exactly what it is. You know exactly how easy it is to do. And just like words, a bullet you can't take back. Okay, you can't be like, you know what? I apologize. Give me that bullet back. Take that hole out of your chest. You can't do that. It's one of those permanent decisions. Irrevocable. You can't, interminable. So yeah, it gives you that sense that I don't ever want to go there again, and to me, because I understand it like I do now, that's how hunting's going to be for me in the future. My buddies come up, we'll hunt, we'll have fun with them, and I'll go out sometimes and that, but when they leave, that's when I'm going to go. That's when I'm going to go do my hunting, because for me, it's a pretty private pursuit. You know what I mean? It's a sober thing, and it's given me that understanding of what it is to take a life, and I respect that. I have tremendous respect for that. That's much larger than I am. I realize I have the capability to kill. And so I understand. I dial it back. I won't do it unless I fucking have to. And I'm going to make sure that it counts. I'm never going to injure something. I'm never going to wound anything. It's going to be dead, and it's going to be dead immediately if I can do it. But yeah, that's the takeaway from hunting for me. Like I said, it's uncomfortable. And it's difficult, but I'm walking away from that a better man. I understand life because I understand death. And if you should choose to go down that path, I'll share everything I can with you. Reach out to me. There's an email address on my website, josmanmethod@gmail.com. You can reach out that way. I'll answer any questions you have. I'll share my resources with you. If it's something you want to get into, you can get it. There's tons of resources online, easy to find, easy to do. But if you need help with the emotional, mental piece of it, that's where I come in. Okay, that's my specialty, making yourself better at being a man. My name is Travis Neville. This is the Travis Neville Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to On Killing. That you can find some pursuits that make you better and stronger today. It's your responsibility as a man to do that. I hope that in some way today's episode helped you to get your shit together. Have a great month.